Alrighty, again, my name is Martin Hernandez, Professional Development Programs Associate with the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture, and it is a joy, an honor, a privilege to be here with my LBCC fam. And I just want to take a second to shout out Tony, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you so much for all of your support. Listen, y'all, it is not lost on me the time that we're in, the place that we're in, and amongst all the other things that your amazing faculty are trying to juggle right now to bring, top-notch education to you all. They also find time to promote this event and, encourage you all to be here. So Tony, thank you all so much for being here, and your fellow LBCC colleagues for all of your hard work. I really appreciate it. So what we are here to discuss is the Los Angeles County Arts Internship Program. And by way of getting started, I just want to talk a little bit about the mission and the history of the program. So 2021 is actually the 21st anniversary of the program. We've been around for around 21 years. And when we talk about how the program got started, we always credit the Getty Foundation's, what is now known as the Getty Merrill Multicultural Undergraduate Internship Program. They're actually in their 26th year, and we credit them with the birth of our program because 21 years ago, the Board of Supervisors for the County of Los Angeles at the time looked at the Getty's internship program and said, wow, that's a really phenomenal program. The Getty program funds paid internships for students in the visual arts organizations and museums. So if you're really interested in the visual arts, I highly recommend you check out their program. But their program had been running for a couple of years, and the Board of Supervisors at that time said, well, what about all the other disciplines? What about theater? What about music? What about film? What about arts education? What about these other disciplines? Shouldn't students be able to get paid internships in those disciplines as well? And thus our program was born. So 21 years, we've been lucky enough to be around. And what I love the most about this program, and you can see it reflected in our mission statement, if you're really interested in getting your foot in the door, especially for arts nonprofits in LA County, this is the program for you. I mean, we'll talk more about statistics, but there's really wonderful opportunities for those of you that know you want to be involved in the arts nonprofit sector. This is really the program for that. But we kind of look at this program as a way to help students kind of get engaged with the arts in a number of different ways, even if it's not necessarily employment. So we hope that by participating in this program, in addition to learning about what a career in the arts nonprofit sector might look like, you will also maybe learn about how you can volunteer. Maybe you'll just be a patron of these organizations later on down the line and buy tickets and support them by coming to performances and shows. Maybe you'll serve as a board member at some point, right? So while obviously a career in the arts is kind of most commonly why folks are coming to this program, it's not the only outcome that we see as potentially being positive for participating in the program. So I just always like to highlight that. In terms of the 2021 cohort, to just drill down into what this year is going to look like, we are offering 228 internships across the county of Los Angeles. This is not a small program, and in fact, combined with the Gettys, it's actually the largest paid arts internship program in the country, and we're very proud of that and very proud to be bringing these opportunities to you all in the county of Los Angeles. That being said, it is competitive, not only for students, but for organizations. So this year we had 151 different organizations apply to host interns. That's how badly organizations want to be a part of this program to be able to work with individuals such as yourselves. Out of those 151 organizations, 144 of them were selected to host interns. So we're pretty proud that we get to we know we get a lot of applications every year, and we do our best to give out interns to as many organizations as possible. So 144 different organizations in the pool this year for hosting interns. Of the types of positions, and actually this is the second year in a row this has been the case, marketing and arts education positions are the highest requested internships in the pool. And we'll talk more about this in a minute. But when we're talking about marketing, we're talking about really social media. We have a lot of organizations that are looking for help with social media. A lot of our organizations will say, we're a little bit older, we don't know necessarily how to work the Instagram and the Vine and the Twitter and the TikTok and all of that stuff. And by the time they learn one app, 2 more have sprung up, right? So they're looking for, I know Vine doesn't exist anymore. Don't drag me. I know. But, point being that a lot of our organizations are looking for young folks in particular to kind of help them navigate marketing in the ways that they can get their information about their programs out into the community. When we're talking about arts education, we're talking about programs that work specifically with students, and most of them in K through 12. So a lot of our organizations are looking for support for the work that they do supporting students. And so if marketing or arts education is something that you're interested in exploring, maybe you've thought about it, 2021 there's a great opportunity to be involved with a number of those things. So eligibility, and I start by talking about eligibility because it's right around the time I start talking about how amazing the program is, that those little voices start chiming and chirping in the back of your head going, there's no way I qualify for this program. There's no way I'm going to be able to make it into this program. This program's not for me. And I'm here to tell you, you got to tell those voices to be quiet because it's not true. Excuse me. We purposely work really, really hard to make this program as widely available to students, as many students as possible. And so we try to keep this intern eligibility list as short as possible to be a reflection of that as many students who want to participate in this program can participate in this program via the shortened eligibility. So when I talk about things an intern must have, this is what I mean. So in order to be eligible, things you must have. Number one, you must be currently enrolled undergraduates at either a 4-year or community college. This program is specifically for undergraduate students, and we'll talk more about what will disqualify you in a second. But if you are enrolled at Long Beach City College, which I'm going to assume, I'm going to take an assumption here that is the case, being that you all are in this info session. Congratulations, you have that first box checked off. You are enrolled. We do not have a course credit requirement. So we used to require that you be enrolled full-time. Then we changed that to part-time. And then when I got here, I said, get rid of it, change it to 1 class enrollment only. So we just need to see that you're enrolled in at least 1 class at the time of application. We're not looking for full-time or part-time enrollment. If you are graduating or transferring in this year, you are also eligible. So as long as it's between May and December of 2021, as long as that's just graduation. If you're transferring whenever, that's fine. But for graduating, we just need to see that you're graduating between May 1st and December 31st. And a lot of our organizations specifically look for students that are graduating because they want to be able to hire you at the end of the internship. So just keep that in mind. So in addition to be currently enrolled, you must also reside in or attend school in LA County. If you're enrolled at LBCC, it kind of checks both of the boxes. You are you go to school and within LA County, and you most likely reside within LA County. So we do have some students, let's say they're from Boston, but they're attending school at USC. They're eligible because USC is within the bounds of LA County, even though that they are from another part of the country. And you must possess right to work documents. So a lot of our organizations are hiring you on as employees, so they're going to ask for that proof of enrollment. If you are an international student, a lot of times we have been able to be successful by having that student work with the school to get right to work or a work visa, depending on your international status. So if that's something that you can take advantage of and LBCC can help you secure, then that will also work for being a part of the program. So if you have all of the things that an intern must have, just to kind of some things that might knock you out of the running. Again, as I mentioned, this program is for undergraduate students. So if you are a student that maybe has an advanced degree, like a master's or a bachelor's degree, but you are coming back to the community colleges to kind of brush up on some other skills, unfortunately, because you have that bachelor's or that master's or that PhD, it would make you ineligible. We're really looking for undergraduate students here. And then you cannot have previously participated in the program. And this is, this is as much as kind of disheartening as that can be. This allows us to kind of keep the program as open as possible. We know our organizations, they would hire the same interns year after year if they could, because they build that relationship with them. They love having them around, but allowing interns to only participate once means that there's a lot more opportunities for students to apply. However, if you do participate in the Getty Merrill Multicultural Undergraduate Internship Program that I mentioned earlier, you can participate in their program and then participate in ours and vice versa. So you should definitely check out that program as well if you're interested, especially in museums or visual arts. And then these last 2 points are really because are student driven. So a lot of times what I would hear from colleges is students saying, Martine, they're not going to hire me because they're going to hire their friends' kids, or they're going to hire their board members' kids, or they're going to hire the kids of their executive director. And that is actually explicitly not allowed in this program. Those students can apply at other organizations. They're free to do that, but organizations are not allowed to hire previous staff members or relatives of staff members or board members of their organization. So we try as much as possible to nip that in the bud. One thing that you're gonna maybe notice that's missing from this conversation is major requirement. We don't require you to be a major in the arts to participate in this program. So if you have friends out there that you think might be interested, please feel free to let them know. Obviously, a lot of our students are majoring in the arts, but it's not a requirement. So if you are interested in communications, we have a lot of business majors that apply because they're interested in kind of seeing how a nonprofit runs. This program is open to them. So as I said, hopefully this eligibility doesn't feel too crazy. We don't have an age cap. Again, we understand people are coming back into school, at a number of different ages. So as long as they meet the eligibility requirements, they're eligible to apply. And we try to make this as open to as many students as possible. So when we talk about the host organizations, and this is what I mentioned earlier, we have 144 of them in the program. They are all nonprofits, 501c3 nonprofits that have had their status for at least 2 years, meaning that we want to see that they're kind of, stable organizations. They're not just going to fold or collapse financially in the middle of your internship. And they are performing, presenting literary, film, digital media, municipal arts agencies, as well as social justice and social service organizations. So to break this down a little bit, when I said earlier that the Getty Foundation funds internships at visual arts and museums, and we fund everybody else, this is the list that I mean, right? These are all the different kinds of artistic disciplines that are represented in our program. Everything from the theater arts, which would be your performing and presenting arts, to film, to literary arts. We have some publishing organizations that publish books that are a part of our program, that work with poetry and teaching students poetry. That would fall under literary arts. Municipal arts agencies, what's really cool is we have a number of cities within Los Angeles County that have arts departments that apply to this program. And actually, shout out to Long Beach, because they are one of those organizations, the Public Corporation of the Arts for the City of Long Beach. They're one of our grantees. So you can actually see how a city agency administrates arts programs for their city within the umbrella of LA County. So that's a really great opportunity. And Long Beach is just one of them. Torrance, Glendale, West Hollywood. We have a number of organizations, municipalities, as we call them, that participate in this program. And I see the question in the chat. I promise we're going to get to that in just a couple of slides. When I say social justice and social service organizations, this is actually new as of last year. We opened this grant program to a number of organizations that were receiving funds from us for a different grant. And just to give an example, one of those organizations is the Alzheimer's Foundation of Greater Los Angeles. They work specifically with elderly folks who are living with Alzheimer's, and they have an entire arts program that is geared towards those folks. That's basically art therapy that helps individuals that are living with Alzheimer's kind of cope with their Alzheimer's, and kind of navigate their Alzheimer's diagnosis through the arts. So we have a number of non-arts organizations that participate in this program that use the arts to facilitate their programming. And so those interns would be working specifically on that arts programming. And so really great opportunity to see how the arts can function in a non-arts organization, right? So there's a lot of different opportunities. all of these organizations are based in LA County. That means that their main office as well as their programming takes place in LA County. So all right, T. So moving on to the timeline, and this is a really important piece of the pie. So I want to make sure that we're spending some time on this. If we were to place ourselves on the timeline, we are just after this dot here. On the timeline. So what that means is that on April 1st, which was a couple weeks ago, the first batch of positions was posted to our website. The first batch has already gone up, but what's going to be happening between April and August is every first of the month, new positions are going to be posted to our website. And the little bit of insider information that I can give y'all for being here today is that April 1st was the largest batch of positions. There was about 100 of those 228 positions went live on April 1st. But the May 3rd batch, which is just in a couple of weeks, is actually the second largest batch. And that'll be just over 70 positions that are being posted of the 228. So first of all, apply for the ones that are already live on our website. Some of them may have been filled. Well, you'll see the website change in the next couple of weeks. But the May 3rd, you want to get your stuff ready, resume, cover letter, all that stuff. You can get it ready for the May 3rd position launch. And like I said, another 70 plus positions will go live on our website at that point. So between April and May 31st, this is really just a recruitment window. No internships are starting earlier than May 31st. May 31st is the first day that an intern can actually start work. So if you submit an application and you're going through different kinds of interview processes between now and May 31st, you won't be starting your internship until then. Internships will continue all the way through March 1st of 2022. This is a COVID era thing. This program, if you're familiar with it, if you heard about it last year or in previous years, you might have heard it as the LA County Summer Arts Internship Program, because the program used to run only between June and August. But when COVID hit, we decided to extend the timeline to give organizations and interns more flexibility. And so interns will be working all the way through March 1st of 2022. And what I want to note here in this position lodge tab, like I mentioned, here are all of the dates that internships will be launching starting in April, going all the way through August 2nd. And so if like I said, I don't want you to feel like you've missed the boat on the April 1st positions. Go ahead and look at the ones that are on our website and apply to those that you are interested in. They've only been up for a couple of weeks, but these other dates, if you want to take some time to kind of get your stuff together, this is a great opportunity to kind of get your stuff together before these other positions go live. So this website is really what I'm talking about, www.lacountyarts.org/internships. That will take you to the internship page. You'll see 2021 internships, and that's where you can click into it. And actually, if we have time at the end of this, I'll show you the website now that it's up, just to kind of give you a sense. Actually, let me go ahead and do that now, because I think it will make everybody's lives a little bit easier for me to just kind of show you. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's do this here. So I am going to, this is our website, although it looks a little different since I'm an administrator. I'm going to, so just pretend you went to www.lacountyarts.org/internships. You're going to go to this 2021 internship page, and here are all of the positions that have launched on the April 1st launch date. Okay. So when you come, you're going to see all these positions and be like, wow, there's so much here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm overwhelmed, but I want to apply. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a position that looks interesting to you. And so let's just say, for the sake of the argument, we're going to apply for Kaleidoscope Chamber Orchestra. I know we have some music folks in the room. Maybe this is something that might be interesting to you. What you're going to do is you're going to click into the title of the position, and you're going to see a ton of information here. Well, this one is actually kind of thin, but you'll see a bunch of different sections. Okay, so the first is their address as well as their website. Website is important for doing research before you apply. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. Description, this is the description of what the intern will actually be doing. So this is a community engagement intern. Here is the description about what they are going to be doing. What's also important to note is that the organization is setting their own schedule for the intern, and we ask them to include this as part of the description. So Kaleidoscope is saying that this position will work approximately 20 hours a week, and it work from June through September. So you will have to do the research, and you have to take it upon yourself to make sure that whatever the organization is saying that they're looking for in terms of the schedule, 20 hours a week from this month to this month, that it actually fits with your schedule, and that that's what you and that you're applying because you can do that. Qualifications, so this is what they are looking for the position. And then background, this talks a little bit about what the organization does, who the community is that they serve, so on and so forth. And last but certainly not least, what is very, very important is interested how to apply section. So for this specific position, it says interested applicants should submit a resume and cover letter to Benjamin Mitchell at benjaminmitchell@kco.la. Okay, so every position, if I were to click out and go into some of these other positions, every one of these positions is going to look different. They're going to have a different description, they're going to have a different background, and they're going to have a different how to apply section. So the first piece of advice that I can give you is make sure that you are paying attention to that how to apply section. That Kaleidoscope position was looking for a resume and cover letter, but not all of them are. So it's really important that you do your research ahead of time, that you look into each of those positions, and that you're sending in the information, exactly the information that the organization is actually looking for in terms of that position. Okay, so each of those position postings will have all of those sections, and this is where interns actually start disqualifying themselves before they've even gotten an interview, because they're sending in documents that the organization did not ask for. They are applying for a position that's at a time requirement or during months that they actually cannot work. So you want to make sure that you're paying very, very close attention to those sections when you go in. So the ones that are on the website now, those are the April 1st launch dates. And then May 3rd will be the next batch of positions, and then they'll go on all the way like that through August. So let's talk about the scope of the internship. And by the way, we'll get to questions at the end of this, at the end of the presentation. So if you have them, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Let's start with show me the money. Important, right? We all got to get paid. I'm not trying to waste your time. So this is what we're here to talk about. I know it's important. All interns will be paid $6,000 for the duration of their internship. If you do the math, that is 400 hours at $15 an hour. Now, important disclaimer, that is, there will be payroll taxes pulled out of that amount, so you will not necessarily walk away with the $6,000 in particular, but your hourly rate will be $15 an hour for a total of 400 hours. This is not a short internship. By the time you leave this internship, you will have been able to develop a really deep, or at least we hope, a really deep relationship with the organization over a number of months. So this is not just a, you may have participated in 100, my previous work before I came to the county, all my internships were 100 hours. That goes by really fast. 400 hours is very different. There's a lot of opportunity to build a deep relationship with the organization, which is great. In the event that you are driving or need to park on site, and that would be at cost to an intern, you are to be reimbursed for that money on top of the $15 an hour that you would be receiving. Obviously, with COVID, that's going to look very minimal, and a lot of our organizations try not to have interns driving or paying for parking anyway. But in the event that that is the case, the organization is to pay you additionally on top of that for those expenses. So every internship duty will vary based on the position. You will see lots of titles on our website that say marketing intern, education intern, production intern, but every one of those, even if they have the same title, are completely different because the organization is different, the expectation is different. So make sure that, again, I'm going to say it a million times in this presentation, that you're looking thoroughly at those position descriptions and speaking to that as part of your application. Oh yes, NTS, I see them. Yes, so positions listed on our website will have a description. I already discussed that. ultimately be prepared to try new things and build new skills. I'm sure Tony would agree with me here. When you're working at small nonprofits, you might have a title that says production intern, but when push comes to shove and things are happening and it's a staff of maybe like 10, 12 people, you might be asked to do things that don't necessarily fall under that production title. And that's okay. That's part of the work. It's part of working in the nonprofit sector, especially for our smaller orgs. So just know and keep that in the back of your mind that you might be applying for a production internship. You might be applying for an education internship. That might be what you get. But the day-to-day of what you're going to be doing for that organization might look a lot different than what you expected. And there's a really great opportunity to learn in that kind of environment. And so just know that, you know, that's the nature of the work. And I think all of our grantee organizations would agree that the interns that are really successful just kind of jump in and are ready to take on whatever is kind of handed to them. That doesn't mean you're just floating out there by yourself. It doesn't mean that the supervisors don't support you. But again, if you're doing production, you might be doing a little bit of this, you might be doing a little bit of that. It all depends. So to talk a bit about the era of COVID, Tony and I were talking about before you all jumped on that I think I was at LBCC maybe a week or two before lockdown hit in Los Angeles, and I was presenting a very different program than what I'm talking about now. So I had basically 3 weeks to completely tear the internship program down from what it was supposed to be into what you're seeing now. And we had to make a lot of changes to the program so that it could be flexible for the organizations and flexible for the interns. We tried a bunch of stuff. We feel like it worked really well. We got a lot of positive feedback from both interns and grantees. So we're trying to keep as much of that in place for 2021 as possible, even though it seems like I might be in a little bit of the same position just with the way that Los Angeles is progressing. And it seems like, you know, we're slowly moving ourselves out of COVID. So that's just a disclaimer here, but ultimately eligibility is the same. So for what that has meant is last year in 2020, we had a student who was from New Orleans, Louisiana, and he was a student at UCLA. And he was able to do his internship at home in New Orleans, Louisiana, because he was eligible because he was a UCLA student, even though he was physically doing his internship in New Orleans. So that's all to say, eligibility is the same. We tried really hard to not make any changes to that because we didn't want to rob any students of opportunities who would have otherwise been eligible. Internships will happen remotely, and this is the asterisk that I need to put on this now, just because of how quickly everything is moving at the county. It is most likely going to be that we will tell organizations we want as many internships to happen remotely as possible. But obviously, by the fall or by winter or even the spring of next year, it could be that we have maybe moved out of some of this the COVID restrictions, and some organizations may want to try to move their interns on site. So just know that our instruction to the grantees is going to be very clear. We have to follow Department of Public Health guidelines. You know, as the Department of Arts and Culture, we are, relations. We are colleagues to the Department of Public Health, who is running all of our lives right now in Los Angeles County, telling us what we can or cannot do. So any instruction that we give our grantees and our organizations will be in alignment with those Department of Public Health protocols. So we're just asking in advance for flexibility for the students as well as grantees. And, you know, best case scenario here is that maybe some folks will be able to start their internships remotely, and then things will become kind of safe. And then maybe they're on site a couple days a week or able to help out with different kind of programs and performances. We don't know. But right now, our instruction is that internships are going to be happening remotely, and we're going to try to be pushing for that as much as possible, given that that still continues to be safe, given where we're at right now with the state of the pandemic. As I mentioned earlier, each of the positions on our website will state how many hours per week and the month spread that they are looking to conduct the internship. So it is your responsibility as prospective interns to be making sure that you are applying for those opportunities that make sense with your schedule. If you cannot commit to a 40-hour-a-week internship, then do not apply for it. okay? So just make sure that you're being clear about that. And that's actually my next point, which is that be prepared to discuss your school schedule and other commitments. I'm going to say this as clearly as I possibly can. It is no secret to our organizations that y'all are in school. Okay. It is no secret to our organizations that y'all have a lot going on, especially given the pandemic. All we are asking is that you be clear and transparent with your organizations about that during the interview process and afterwards. Because what has a tendency to happen is that students don't want to disqualify themselves. So they'll say, yeah, 40 hours a week internship, no problem. I'm there. You got it, right? And they're looking at a schedule, a school schedule that's also 40 hours a week of work or commitment, right? And so then what happens is the internship kicks off and that 40-hour-a-week internship does not work for you. Then we have a frustrated organization, we have a frustrated intern, a stressed out intern, an intern that's not sleeping because they're working during the day and doing all their schoolwork at night. It's just much better to be open and honest with the organization about what your commitments are. And a lot of our organizations are most likely flexible in saying maybe during the summer you can work 40 hours a week because you're not taking any classes at LBCC and you're able to work 40 hours a week in June and July. But when August hits and you go back to school, I got to drop that down to 15, 20 hours a week. But that flexibility cannot happen unless you are open and honest with your supervisor about what that might look like. And I'm telling you, it's not going to disqualify you. It's just going to allow an organization to say, you know what, this intern and our schedule and their schedule, that's going to work out. So let's move forward. And it's much better to have that conversation early on than it is to try to have it after things have fallen apart. You're stressed out. The organization is stressed out. It's just better to have that conversation earlier rather than later. And as I said at the bottom, interns could return to site at some point, but we will issue a guidance to all organizations if need be. Last, but certainly not least, our educational component. So in addition to the 400 hours that you get on site, we offer two types of educational components that you'll be able to take advantage of as part of your internship. The first is what we call Art Summit. Last year was our first ever virtual art summit. We will probably be doing another virtual art summit again in 2021. But this is an opportunity ultimately for us to celebrate all of the interns and the success that you're having and being selected for this internship. We try to invite local artists and talents to share about their work, just to kind of give everybody in the program an opportunity to hear about organizations in different parts of the county that maybe you're not necessarily used to frequenting, and understanding kind of what the larger arts and culture landscape looks like in Los Angeles. So what you're seeing on the screen is actually our digital flyer for the 2020 event. We were lucky enough to have rapper D Smoke as our keynote speaker. If you're familiar with his work, he actually won Netflix's rap competition show, Rhythm and Flow, hosted by Cardi B. But he has a long history in South Los Angeles of being a musician, an educator, a community advocate. He still is in South LA teaching kids how to make music and how to rap. And it was just a really wonderful conversation, and interns got a chance to ask him questions and interact with him as part of the event. And we also had a number of performances from local Los Angeles talent. So just want to throw that out there that, we try to make it an engaging event, and it ends up being a pretty good time every year. Then in addition to Art Summit, that's a one-off event, by the way, that will probably happen in September or October. But in addition to Art Summit, we have what we call peer groups. And these are monthly events that will be happening once or twice a month. And these are just opportunities to kind of be in small groups with other interns, as well as who we call peer group leaders. And these are arts and culture professionals from all across Los Angeles. And actually, if you go to the website now that it's up, and you go to the internship page, you'll actually see a peer groups tab, and you can see all 9 folks that are joining us as peer group leaders this year. They usually bring their colleagues to talk about, they have panels that discuss different kinds of events. They talk about different kinds of disciplines, all different kinds of things. And so it's just a great opportunity to meet other interns, hear from arts and culture professionals in the field of Los Angeles, and learn different things. Both of these events, Art Summit and peer groups, are paid as part of your internship experience. So if you are attending these during your internship, it counts towards your hours and you are paid for attending them. In the event that you finish, let's say you finish your internship in August or September, you will continue to get invited to events for September, October, November, December, January, and February. Even after your internship has concluded, obviously at that point you would not be paid because your internship will have concluded. But if you're attending these events as part of your internship, then you will be paid to attend them as part of your internship hours. Okay, so what I'm gonna do really quickly is, let me just get adjusted here. I have, you've heard me talk a lot about the program, and hopefully I did an okay job, but we actually were able to create a video in the program last year that talks about, that you'll hear from alumni of the program, and they're gonna talk about their experience and what the internship meant to them. This is actually a 3-minute clip of a longer 10-minute video that you'll find on our website. So we're trying not to bore people. But what I'm gonna ask is, while I'm playing this video, it's just shy of 3 minutes long. What I'm gonna ask while I'm sharing this video is that if you have questions, drop them in the chat. As soon as the video is over, I will open it up for Q&A via the chat portion, and I know there's some questions already in there for me to answer. So listen to the video, think about questions that you have, and drop them into the chat, and I will get to them as soon as this video is done. And actually, let me just make sure. I don't think that I shared the audio, so give me 1 second. Let me redo this. Share screen. Okay, here we go. This should be good. So like I said, get your questions ready, and here we go.
Art has always been such an important part of our lives. It's a reflection of our culture.
It teaches us about ourselves and our communities.
And it is an outlet during times of struggle and hardship.
Throughout the years, the program has been able to provide 2,200 students with entry points into the arts through paid internship opportunities throughout the county.
Interns participating in the program have logged in a combined 1 million hours.
The program has been resilient in helping to uplift the next generation of artists as they elevate the spirit of our community and provide hope for the future.
It's musicians that provide the soundtrack,
filmmakers that tell the stories,
and artists that paint the better picture of tomorrow.
Initially, I applied for the internship. I saw, well, I can get paid during the summer doing what I love. And so I remember the first day, I'm just like, all right, what am I really getting myself involved in? But it was really one of the best experiences that opened up so much in my life. And without this internship program, I don't think I'll be where I am today. Being around this nonprofit, it allowed me to see the different roles that I could participate in that are never really talked about.
One clear obstacle was that I wasn't seeing other people who looked like me working in the arts as artists. The internship program was so cool because I got to meet so many other wide-eyed, like in college or just leaving college kids who wanted to also work in the arts, and getting a little bit of a window of all these cool arts organizations.
It was as though they were pulling back the curtain and letting you see the inner workings of an arts institution. It was a great time to discover that there is a place for people like me in the arts management field, and that it was up to us to change and diversify it for future generations to come.
The ripple effects of this program can be felt across the region, with many interns remaining in the field, and some even going on to mentor future classes of interns.
The valuable experiences you'll have,
The lessons you'll learn,
and the network of colleagues and mentors that you will build will help propel you into the future.
Now it's your turn to begin your journey. Where will your art take you?
where will your art take you?
Where will your art take you?
Gotta love the jaunty inspirational music there at the end. So obligatory plug. So Manny, who you saw there at the end of the video, is actually was the intern at LA Art, LA Music and Art School, back in the early 2000s. He's now the executive director of the organization that he was an intern at. So he's literally definition of started from the bottom. Now we're here, right? And so we are just so proud of what folks have been able to take from this internship, and we didn't do anything. Like, Manny is awesome and has worked his butt off to get to where he is now, but this program certainly is an opportunity for folks to kind of springboard and make something really great of the experience. So really grateful to them for participating in that video and being able to share that with you today. So I'm going to jump in and ask questions really quickly. Let me just go ahead and pull this up so you have it. This is the contact information for the internship program. So if you have questions at the conclusion of this presentation, please make sure that you send that in. Okay, so jumping into the chat, I see when is this internship starting? Next fall. Technically, the program has started in that positions are posted on April 1st. We have another batch on May 3rd, but internships, the earliest that interns can actually start working is May 31st. So no one is working before that, but we're kind of on a rolling basis, so it looks a little bit different this year. Next question. When making a resume and cover letter, what should we include? Does it all have to be art related? So my first point is make sure you check the whatever it says in the how to apply section of the position that you're applying for, because everyone is different. So a lot of them might say just resume and cover letter. In that case, they're not looking for anything specific. Just send in a resume and cover letter that speaks directly to the organization. But if they say we're looking for a resume, a cover letter, and a portfolio or a work sample, then make sure that you're including all of those pieces, right? So again, I don't want to speak in generalizations because every single organization is different. You're applying directly to them. You're not applying to us at the county. So just make sure that you're paying very close attention to that. And one thing that I'll note, because I have to say it every time, I'm contractually obligated, make sure that you are submitting a different resume and different cover letter for every organization that you apply to. I recommend that you apply for anywhere between 3 to 5 positions. You don't want to apply for too many more than that because, again, you want to spend the time creating a specific resume and specific cover letter to each organization. Unfortunately, what has a tendency to happen every year is somebody will get resume and cover letter happy and they'll rocket it off to 20 or 30 organizations. Many of our organizations, y'all, have been in this program for the 21 years that the program has been around. So they are very aware of when they're getting a resume or a cover letter that has just been, kind of copied and pasted a million times. You want to spend the time to make sure that your cover letter and resume speaks directly to the organization that you're applying for. That's why we include their website, so that you can do some research around the organization, the work that they do, and make sure that all of that is in your application, your cover letter, and your resume before you apply. Okay, as an administrator, do you prefer a talent resume or a work resume? Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is that most of these positions are not necessarily, they're not looking for talent necessarily. These are administrative positions within arts nonprofits that work with actors, that work with musicians, that work with talent. So I'm not saying don't submit your talent resume, but look again specifically at what the organization is asking for, what the position is. If they're looking for a marketing position, a marketing intern that's going to be helping with social media, does a talent resume necessarily support the work that position is doing? If you see it maybe, if you think it's maybe, then go right ahead. But I would say that a lot of the times, a talent resume might be more suited for when they're actually looking for the talent for their organizations. And that's not necessarily what, the majority of the people in this program are looking for. Now, that being said, we have had a number of interns that end up on stage or end up performing as part of their internship, and that's okay. But and I'm not saying it never happens, but again, they are pretty specific in what they're looking for in those job postings. So make sure that you're speaking directly to that. Okay, so let's see. Next question. Does where we're located, attend school, play a hand in the application project process, given that some programs may switch to in-person as the pandemic eases off? It's a great question. I wish I could answer that for you. Unfortunately, right now we're in the process of figuring that out. What I can tell you is that we will be, in whatever instruction we give to the organization, we will be asking them to be transparent with you all about that during the interview process. It should not be secretive. So we don't want them secretly looking for an intern that's in Long Beach and disqualifying everybody that lives outside of Long Beach. We're going to be asking them to be very clear during the interview process. Hey, we might want to bring this intern back on site in November when it's safe. Is that something that you would be able to do? And then there can be a conversation with the organization about that. So it's a great question. I wish I had more clarity, but just with how quickly everything is moving. And unfortunately, you know, what we also have to plan for is that we could be moving in this direction and then we move backwards, right, with the pandemic. So I would say that if it's something that's of a concern for you, that let's say you're applying for an organization in Long Beach, but you live in Santa Clarita, just be honest about that during the interview process, right? Hey y'all, if you decide to move me on campus, you know, back to site at Long Beach, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be able to commute from Santa Clarita. What are you all thinking about that? Like, have that conversation with them. Again, this program has been around for 21 years. It's not going anywhere. So if this is not the year for you to participate, given the pandemic and other things that are going on, there's nothing wrong with that. You know about the program, you can apply in future years, but just be prepared to have a conversation and be open about that, because that's what we're going to be telling the organizations that they need to do as well. Is April 1st and May 1st the only 2 times internships will go out? No, those are 2 of 5 launch dates. And just for the sake of the argument, I'll go back to that slide just so you all can see it. But these are all 5 of the launch dates. So April 1st, May 3rd, June 1st, July 1st, August 2nd. Those are when positions will go live. The June, July, August launches, y'all, are pretty small. I think by the time we're in August, I'm maybe launching like 8 or 9 positions. It's not a lot. So April and May are really the bulk of it. But let's say that you just know you're going to have a really crazy next couple of months. The rest of the spring, you know, semester is just going to be a lot. Maybe you have something coming up in summer and fall feels like a better time to be thinking about an internship. Then please apply in June, July, and August, right? I don't want people to think that if you don't apply in April or May that you've missed the boat and that's it. That's not the case at all. We you know, this is to be flexible for both our students and our grantee organizations. So please apply when it feels like a good time for you to apply. These are great questions. What other questions might you have? And Tony, if you have questions or there's things you want to highlight, feel free, my friend.
Well, thank you, Martine. Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Not so much questions, just a couple of reiterations of what Martine said, which is really look at the specific internships and fashion your letter of intent, your resume to that. A quick example, my daughter, who's a ballet dancer, applied for an internship at Sundance. She never studied film. She loves film because of me, but and then because of herself. But she filled it out. They asked her some questions. She went specific for that. She ended up getting it. So look at the ones that attract you, read it very specifically, like Martine says, and then fashion your letter of intent, your resume to that specifically. I think that would really help. And I think it's terrific. And yes, as you saw, I threw in the chat, there's several of these theater companies that I know very well: Will Gear, Theatricum, Botanicum, the Antaeus Group, ICT, International City Theater, which started on the LBCC campus 25 years ago. These are programs, if you apply to one of those, you might want to say at ICT, hey, I'm a student at LBCC. There's a connection already there. So these are terrific opportunities, and just be very specific as you kind of look through them and see what attracts you.
And that's actually a perfect segue for what I say for last. So it is not a what should I say, a secret why I'm here speaking to the community colleges and to you all at LBCC. You're one of 6 community college info sessions that I'll be doing this program cycle. The program has really grown over the past couple of years. When I actually started in 2018 with the county, the internship program was 179 interns. So that's, you know, very different than the 228. And the reason that the program has been growing is because the Board of Supervisors really understand this program and how great it is for folks that are looking to get their feet wet and jump into the arts. This is a great opportunity to do it. But the second piece is that they want to see community college students participate in this program. And so as part of the internship program, we actually have a number of positions, a number of organizations that have stood up and said, we want to hire an intern from the community colleges. Okay, they are saying that that is something that they want to do. And so if you, as I mentioned, this is the main internship page on our website, 2021 internships. That's where you would click to get the link. On the About tab down here, you'll see opportunities for community college students. When you click into that, you will see a list of organizations that are specifically looking to host students from the community colleges. Now, I want to be clear. You do not, this does not mean that as a community college student, you should only apply to these organizations. That is not the case. We want you to apply to any of the internships that are important to you or that are interesting to you. But these organizations have specifically said, we want to host a student from the community college, from the community colleges. So if that feels like something that is, you know, important to you in terms of feeling like, you know, you might have a leg up or that your application, you know, might get looked at a little differently, this is a great list to go to. Disclaimer, this is the list for the entire group. So if you're looking for an organization and their position isn't up on the website, then it means that it just hasn't been posted yet. So you're gonna wanna continue to keep looking on all the different launch dates. But we have a great sampling of organizations here from all different kinds of disciplines that are specifically looking to host from the community colleges. And what has happened in the past couple of years is I get a phone call from some of these organizations saying, Martin, we didn't have any community college students apply. So I release them from hosting a community college student, and then they go on to somebody, you know, to another candidate. So we don't ever want that to be the case. We don't ever want an organization that has said, yes, we will hire from the community colleges to not do it simply because they didn't receive any applications. And so that can only happen if y'all apply, right? So again, we know that geography is a thing, you know, is you know, city of Culver City for y'all that down there in Long Beach. Is city of Culver City necessarily, you know, a place that you want to trek to for your internship? Maybe not, but maybe there's some other organizations on here that you might want to look into. So again, this is just a kind of suggested list, and every year we have organizations that didn't stand up and say necessarily that they for sure would hire a community college student that end up doing it anyway. So it ends up being a really great mishmash of organizations who said that they would, that are able to do it and they recruit to do it, and then other organizations that didn't necessarily think that they would hire from the community colleges that end up doing it anyway. So just a note there, and I save that for the end as a little nugget for folks that have hung on with us to the very end. But it's certainly no secret. It's right there on our website. But again, we don't want you to feel like you only can apply to those. Please apply to as many as you want. Tony.
Martine, I responded to one of the chats, and I want to make sure I was accurate in what I said, is when this recorded session is done, you will send it to myself and Eli, and then we'll send it out to whatever students are still interested or didn't get to be here. Is that correct?
Correct. So what I've been doing is these videos will be unlisted on our YouTube page, meaning that if you go to the Department of Arts and Culture's YouTube page, you won't be able to find it. But the link, I'm going to be sending Tony and Eli a link. And as long as you have that link, when you click on it, it'll take you straight to this video so that you can check it out. And if folks that are on this call, if you want to kind of refresher or you want to, you know, get a piece of information again that you maybe missed the first time, you know, you can do that as well. But yes, I will send that. Hopefully by the end of the week, Tony, I'll be able to get it over to you to share out. One final call. Oh, I see a noise within, and Tony shouting them out. They're on the list. So something to keep in mind. Angels Gate Cultural Center, also down in Long Beach, I believe, San Pedro area. Yeah, shouting them out. Any final questions before we end our time together? One more call for questions. Drop it in the chat.
Angel? Oh, yeah, you just write it in.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead and drop it in the chat.
And while he's doing that, I can't thank you enough, Martine, for taking the time and the effort to do this for us. I so appreciate it. I know Long Beach City College, and I know our students appreciate it too. It's the opportunity to get their, like you say, their foot in the door, as well as getting paid to do what they're trying to do. What a wonderful first start. And we can't thank you enough for it.
No, listen, this is my favorite part. I think I told Tony that last year, like if I could just do this all day, every day as my job, that would be great. More of this, less Excel spreadsheets. That would be the goal. But and it's really hard that I don't get to be there on y'all's campus, like in person, but here's hoping that, for 2022 will be better. Listen, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I'm not that much older than y'all. I did not know that this program existed when I was in high school or in college, and I wish that I did. It would have really changed my life, much, earlier on. So this is for y'all. Like I want to see if I had it my way, it would be 228 community college students in the program every year. So we're inching up. We're getting up there. So please take advantage of this. Oh, final question I see here. If we don't have much, I already know I'm going to love this question. If we don't have much work to show off our skill in our resume cover letter for a specific organization, but we really want to join, should we still attempt to be a part of the experience? So 2 avenues of the question. The first avenue, what you have as work experience might not be traditional work experience. So when I had before I came to the county, I worked a lot with homeless and foster youth in Hollywood for college and career placement. And I would make them sit there and talk to me about all of the different jobs that they have had in their life. And by jobs, I said, anytime that you were doing work for somebody else. What does that look like? Babysitting, maybe you were working at a T-Mobile or at a Little Caesars or whatever. And I said, okay, forget about where you were doing the job. Let's talk about skills, right? When you were working at T-Mobile, did you work with money? Yes. How much money? Thousands of dollars a day. Okay, great. When you worked with, when you were doing childcare, when you were doing babysitting, what were you doing? Well, I was wrangling kids. I was making sure that they were safe. Great, right? Sit down and think about all of those kinds of things and pull out the skills that you used in order to complete those jobs. Don't think and don't be so caught up in the fact that what you were doing is not necessarily in the arts. Think about the skills that you used in order to do those jobs, no matter where you did them, and speak to that on your resume. Because again, but people don't realize, like, you're working at fast food or things like that. That's people skills. You have to work with, most of the time, horrible people probably that are, really upset about the way that their order was made. And you have to have people skills because you can't jump across the counter, right? You have to have a conversation with them and you have to talk them down. That's people skills. That's communication skills. That's, conflict mediation skills, right? So talk about that. Don't necessarily talk about how you made the pizzas or sold the phones at T-Mobile. Talk about the skills that you had. Same thing with babysitting. Literally, people trusting you to take care of kids. Like, I can't think of a more kind of sacred position than that. So I would say yes, apply. And be thinking about the ways you can talk about the skills that you have in order to make it work for the positions that you want to apply for. The second lane of thinking, which may be more comfortable for some folks, is use this year and this conversation as an opportunity to get yourself set up for the internship program in 2022. Right? There's no shame in looking at the positions on the website and going, these are all amazing, but I don't really feel ready for that yet. So I'm going to take notes about the organizations that were in the program. I'm going to take notes about the types of positions that were in the program. And I'm going to carry those things with me over this next year so that I can look for volunteer opportunities or classes or work with Tony and Eli and other people at school to get me more experience so that when I apply in 2022, I feel more ready than I did this year. Like I said, we're not going anywhere. The program is not going anywhere. And maybe you can do both by applying for a bunch of internships. And even if you don't get them, the process of doing your resume, your cover letter, and thinking about all of those things is still useful. It's good practice, right? So my answer is, if you don't have as much work to show off or as skills as you think, is number one, you probably do, and spend some time thinking through that a little bit more intentionally. And number two, if you do that and you're just like, you know what, Martin, this is just not the year for me, especially with the pandemic and everything else going on, that's a-okay. Look at our website, look at who's posting positions, look at what those positions look like, take detailed notes, and you have a year before you, hopefully I'll be back on LBCC's campus in person next year talking about the program, and you'll be ready to apply and submit your application at that time. So it's really up to you, but yes, we encourage everybody to apply, and even the process of itself, even if it doesn't yield an internship, even if you're not selected for an internship, it's still useful. It will still teach you something. It's still a valuable part of your time. So I would definitely suggest that. Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. All right, I've run my mouth quite a bit. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And again, a big shout out to Tony and Eli and all the other LBCC faculty who helped pump this event out today. You all do not know how lucky you are to have staff like this who are invested in your futures and working really, really hard to bring these opportunities to you. And I would not be here without them and their work. So thank you so much for that. And good luck, best of luck. And stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you in the internship program sometime soon.
Thank you so much, Martin. We so appreciate it. And I'll make sure they get the link when you set it up. No rush at all. We really appreciate it. We'll do as much follow-up as we can.
Sounds great. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. And we will see you on the big wide internet very, very soon. Okay. Take care.
Take care. Take care.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.